Hey, back with another video about investing. This is more of a mindset video, so I'll probably put it on the mindset tag or category of videos, if you will. I probably should make a playlist for this. This is less of a financial video. There will be just rambling and my thoughts. This is only backed up by qualitative data, and seeing what I've seen or recalling what I've seen in the market in the past. So basically this video, as its title, is about YOLO moves and just making them count. So for instance, if you've done something with GameStop recently and that has actually done well for you, how can you actually make that move count in the long term for you? How can that, let me turn off my phone. How can that move actually be beneficial for you for the long term? So if I said this in my previous video talking about GameStop, and how I would have taken, if I would have put in $410 and it got to about $410, that would have been about 100x profit. 100 times. Yeah, so that $410 would have turned into $41,000. I would have taken that, put some away for taxes, actually pay off my vehicle, and then even take that and put that into dividend producing stock. So let's actually explore that dividend producing stock piece a little bit more. So with that dividend producing stock piece, essentially you're putting it in a place where it'll actually continue to make money for you in the long term. So stocks like AT&T. AT&T does not do well at all. It always fluctuates between green and red and green. So profit and out of profit, especially if you purchased it recently. It's last time I checked, it was around like $28, $29 a share, and it hovers around that. It's more of a stable stock. It's not a growth stock. You really focus on that stock to get dividends. That stock pays out a great dividend, especially if you have like, say, in my case, I have about 30 shares, so I probably get about $15 every quarter off of that stock. So that's really nice in terms of dividends. Now, what if you actually increase that to any multiple that you want? If I increase that from 30 to 300 shares, now I'm looking at $150. So that's really nice, because then that dividend producing stock, and AT&T produces a dividend about 48 to 50 cents or so historically. That's what it's done in the past couple quarters. Also, you can get into stocks that actually give you a bonus as well, or a bonus dividend, which is pretty nice. I haven't researched that much, but I have personally seen that in some of my in some of the stocks in my portfolio. In fact, what I'll do is I'll link my portfolio using M1 Finance below, and hopefully you guys can look at that and take pieces and take a little bit away from it. I don't think it's an affiliate link or anything like that, so I don't get anything for it. But I do like to share the information so you guys can see what I'm doing. That does not show the exact number of what I put into that portfolio, nor the actual the amount of shares that I have. But it does show you that, hey, if you actually put in $100, this is what that portfolio would have done. Would have done in the space of 1 to 5 years, what have you. It's a really, really nice link. And it's definitely something, if you get into M1 Finance, sharing it with others that are around you, then they can see, oh, okay, hey, listen, your stock portfolio has done fairly well, or could have done pretty well with historical data. So doing YOLO moves and actually putting those into stocks that will produce you a dividend or actually go higher in value. So for instance, GameStop, things really haven't changed with the market or with the economy and actually what's going on with the virus, even with vaccines. Also, there's no point in really going to GameStop to actually buy a game unless it's an older game. And even with older games, you can get it on the PlayStation Store and get a digital copy. The only reason that you wouldn't want a digital copy is if you wanted to move around and go to other people's homes. But there's no point in doing that anymore, especially as a kid growing up with PlayStation 1, memory cards, and Final Fantasy 7. So these are the things that we used to do. Even like Klonoa 1, like that was an awesome game that I beat, and I think I rented that or something like that. But and that was like from Blockbuster. So when you look at things like that, things have really changed. The same thing with AMC. If you're looking at these stocks, and even with AMC, supposedly what's been happening with Wall Street bets and the whole short squeeze has actually been very, very good for them. But even with AMC, I would still look at it as, hey, this business is just not going to go anywhere. So when you're looking at something like that and you've made money off of a stock and you've looked at that stock and said, hey, I don't think this is really going to go anywhere. Let me take this as me winning the lotto, and let me go ahead and try and put this into something that could actually be beneficial in the long term, in terms of, like, say, in terms of putting into a stock that can reach a higher value or increase in value, maybe even go through stock splits, ergo Tesla, or aka Tesla, Apple, any other stock that has done a stock split and has risen in the recent time. Again, stock splits don't really make much sense in today's market, simply because of the fact that we have brokers that actually allow you to buy fractional shares, but it actually looks good because it looks like you're getting a higher volume for that same stock. So that's kind of cool, because you're thinking that for whatever reason, people think that it should rise to the value it was pre-stock split. That doesn't always happen, so be careful with that. So when you're looking at Tesla, or when you're looking at taking a YOLO move, another YOLO move might have been if you put it into cryptocurrencies and you're taking that money from the volatility in that space. Say you got a cryptocurrency and it 5x'd in 1 year, or even 100x like Dogecoin recently did, going from 0.007 cents to 0.07 cents. So that big move right there has really, I think, no, that wasn't 100x, but I think it was like 10. That has to be 10x, is the way that works out in numbers. But it doing that 10x move, so where if you actually took $1,000 in Doge, or put it in Doge probably a week beforehand, you would have actually come out with $10,000 after the fact. So now, one thing I've learned during the 2017 bull market for cryptocurrencies was that the 2017 bull market for cryptocurrencies was that if you see something rising, take profits. I'm very serious about that. A lot of people will be like, oh no, it'll ever go down, so on and so forth. I've seen it. I've seen a portfolio that I put in maybe $4,000 go to 16 grand and then pretty much lose it all. That sucked. And it hasn't come up until recently. And I was going through hard times, really needed that money, and I wish I really would have had it. At least had the dry powder so I can spend it and put it in other places. Not on frivolous thing, but business moves and get myself out of other trouble that I had, or financial troubles that I was in terms of what happened with my salon. It would have been great to put the money into that. But taking the money from these YOLO moves, taking profits, whether it be your 20-25% on a scheduled rebalancing or something like that, or on some type of step stool, step ladder, or what have you. So like every time it reaches a certain goal or milestone, take 20%, 20-25%, next step, until you're probably pretty much out of the position, or until you reach a point where you're saying, hey, listen, I don't want to diminish my position anymore. I want to keep what I have. So what I've actually done in the past is actually take this money and what I learned, back to what I learned about for cryptocurrencies, what I've done in the past is taken that money and then put it into an asset that actually has a long-term viability. So you had your shit coins or your crap coins or your altcoins, as most people like to call them. And then these coins, you could look at them and say, hey, listen, this is not going to go anywhere. There hasn't been many updates on GitHub recently. And all the actual updates on this repo have been recent, if you know how to look at GitHub, which is pretty easy. A lot of these coins are open source and they put their code out there, so you can see when updates are made, and then you can see that the updates are made for a short period of time. Therefore, you can surmise that it's possibly a pump, or a pump and dump. And if that's the case, make your money, get the fudge out, take your original investment. If you want to leave something in there, you can go ahead and do so. If not, take it and then put it in something that has long-term viability, such as Bitcoin, or even Ethereum, Ripple. This is back then. Ripple, XLM. I like Digibyte. I've always liked Digibyte and what they've done on the background. But any coin that you want. Oh, Cardano is another one that I love. But any coin that you love, what I should have done is consolidated those, and this is the mindset that I have now. But what I should have done is taken all my earnings from all those altcoins, either bought more Bitcoin and go heavy and YOLO in on that, or a long-term YOLO, if you will. Sorry, I'm just using YOLO, but using it as a long-term YOLO, and actually take that and keep it like that, or keep it in there for a while, or actually spread it to others to where those can actually grow, and see which one wins, and then, you know, move the assets around and things like that. Things were a lot different in 2017 in terms of pricing, most definitely, and then also in terms of like regulations and other things that you could and couldn't do in the space. There hasn't been much regulation, but there actually are small regulations that are creeping up. There hasn't been much change in regulation, but there are small bits of regulation that are creeping up quite a bit. So that's just definitely something that we all have to watch out for and have to understand when we're getting into these different token securities, coins, what have you. If you can actually take that money and put it into something that can actually have some long-term viability, that can also work for you while you sleep. I mean, it's crazy and beautiful to see at the end of a quarter, going into March or something like that, oh my God, sorry, not going into March, going into April. Oh my God, you know, I have this nice little bit of cash balance in my portfolio. And what if that cash balance was something that can actually generate the buying of more securities in your stock portfolio, for instance. So for instance, if you have M1 Finance and you use that, and then I think it's a $25 minimum, if you have Auto Invest on at $25, it will go ahead and buy more shares. I mean, just the beauty of that, not even having to do anything, and it can just keep on making money per whatever you already, and all you have to do is just adjust your percentages. So that's the benefits of some of these robo-advisors. I will be making another video pretty soon about how robo-advisors make you money, and the fact that most of these robo-advisors are just Instagram influencers in finance. And that's a pretty funny concept, but it's just my little spin on it. Alrighty, I hope this helped. Thank you very much. Bye.